So here we have it, game number 2 of this best of 3. I'm Madals, and this is the ESL Pro Series. Trying to find out Germany's best gamer throughout the summer competition, and spawning in the lower right hand spot, representing Alien Invasion, we have CPU. And his opponent down to the lower left. Representing Mouse Sports, 1-0 up so far in this best of 3, we have HerMarine. So, why are these two battling it out? Well, for a start, there is a lot of money on the line throughout the overall cup. But what's really important are all of the points. That's where important things come through. Winning these cups gives you points to the overall standings, and that's where the money's generated. So at the moment, it's quite hard to tell. Being the first cup, obviously, who's in with a shot at any of the money, but all these, obviously, the early cups are very important. So, in terms of openings, we've got a Gateway first coming down from CPU. Meanwhile, HerMarine hasn't revealed his hand as of yet, but judging by his mineral build-up, it should be a Command Center first build from him, playing it very economically focused this game, compared to the quite aggressive play he did in map number 1. CPU though, he seems confident to just play a pretty standard game. Actually, that second gas coming quite early. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to use that for. If he does go for the Stargate again, I'd be relatively surprised, because while Frost is a great map for Stargates generally, HerMarine defended against the Oracle, map number 1, with ease. He had 12 Marines out, 6 at each base before the Oracle was even there, so it did very little. It got 2 worker kills, I believe, before it eventually died. Not really the sort of trade you'd want to be getting with an Oracle. 4 probes in gas for CPU though, so not a massive commitment to that Vespian income as of yet. But of course, this is a very early 4 gas. It's before the Cybernetics core was even finished, so a decent amount of Vespian getting banked up. He'll have the option to start up an early sentry then. We'll be able to get some quick tech, and of course the Mothership core instantly once that Cybernetics core is done. HerMarine, on the other hand, he's just going for the 2 barracks off the back of that. So the 2 barracks coming down off the back of the CC first is a pretty standard play. Some Terran players will opt for just the single racks, maybe if they've taken a gas to go for the early attack, or the single racks in order to go for a really greedy 3rd CC, but this is kind of the more standard general approach. There's also the option of 3 racks off the back of it if you do fear pressure coming in, but thanks to this SCV scouting, HerMarine knows the naturals come down, he knows what's in the main, and so shouldn't be too apprehensive about pressure being applied. Regardless though, he does that in that 3rd barracks, so interesting decision here that he's going for that rather than any gas, really upping his marine production, potentially expecting there to be some form of Stargate play again, or at least the option of it, due to having the double assimilators there. Stargate does get started. It'll be interesting to see if it is the Oracle, like we saw in game number 1. It wasn't successful in that first game, and in this game with the triple Raxes down, I doubt that it would be successful this game either, because the Oracle just won't get over there until there's easily 12 Marines out, assuming HerMarine does hit his production cycles well. On the other hand though, Phoenix are an option. They can be a bit of a nuisance if they do come in. They can do some nicer damage late game. Not as common against Terran as Oracles, but definitely does have a place, and if controlled well, they can be really infuriating. The Oracle is going to be on the cards though. Not getting chrono boosted yet, just rallied across. And with already these 6 Marines at the main base, and obviously more coming down at the natural, the Oracle is going to have a very tough time trying to get this trade to work. So I'm excited to see if CPU does manage to do it, and for his sake I really hope he does. But that scan, wow. Okay, that scan was just amazing. Sees everything, knows the Oracle's coming, and just confirms instantly for HerMarine. Then he was right in his prediction. He's got the Marines now situated beautifully, adding in the engineering bay in order to start getting those missile turrets out, and he should be a-okay. Seeing it, scouting it, he's aware, he knows, and he can be prepared. Concussive Shell is yet again coming down from HerMarine, who, for the most part, is following a very similar build to Game 1. The only variation for the moment is in the form of the CC first as opposed to the racks into the CC. But in the mid game, a relatively similar spot, just additional workers and obviously slightly better economy. CPU, he's also following the same trend. He actually is playing this identically to the first game, going for the one gate into the CC, into the Stargate, into the Robo. Should see a robotics facility if he wants to play this exactly the same, and right on cue, down it comes. The Oracle has been pulled back. No damage done at all, but it would be exceptionally difficult in order to get that damage, considering the fact that, well, the Marines were there, it was scouted by a scan, you know it's going to be coming. Factory being added into the mix now by HerMarine. He's going to be looking to get up some medevac production relatively soon. He's also adding in a fair few Marauders to his composition. About a minute until we may see that same push yet again. A couple of Marines do get killed by that Oracle. They were separated from the group, and of course it does take 6 Marines in order to take down an Oracle in a single sitting. So nice control there. CPU may find a couple of SCV kills as well, due to the Marine count being a little bit down and a little bit out of position. So all in all, this Oracle getting some work done. Maybe not as much as CPU would like, but it hasn't taken much damage. I don't think it's actually taken more than about a third of its health damage, so shields will regenerate back up, and he should be fine to move back in again. CPU adding in those additional gates now. Only 3 for the moment, so not as big a commitment, and I believe this armor upgrade is also coming a tad sooner. HerMarine pushing across the map. Not as many units as that last push, hitting about the same time though. Going to be interesting to see how this works. The Mothership Core, maxed out on energy, has enough for 2 spell casts, probably a Photon Overcharge and a Time Warp if needed. But in now comes this infantry, poking, prodding, Photon Overcharge triggered, and the infantry gonna back away. The Marauders need to soak up as much of that damage as they can. They just back out and will get to safety. So, not much really achieved there, just wasting a little Mothership Core energy. But since it was maxed out, it doesn't really cost much. However, a lot more Marauders going to be following this up, and due to... Oh wow, actually the Oracle was taken down. That must have been what the TT was about. I'm not quite sure where that was taken down, but I'm guessing it was one of the missile turrets. Nice pick off there. I actually assumed this was the Oracle, as it was sitting down there. But anyway, HerMarine moving forward. He's going to catch a group of Stalkers if CPU isn't careful, but he backs away upon seeing that Colossus. Gonna go for it with the medevac support coming through. Concussive Shell is now done. If the Colossus could get caught, it would be massive, but a row of force fields will prevent the chase. Required just to get away. Only a single Marine killed in that, but the double drop now headed towards the main. Gonna be focusing down some of these gateways, trying to pick up those pylons ASAP. Quick Photon Overcharge is gonna be able to buy a bit more time, and the double medevac needs to pick up quickly, will escape with all units intact. Blink now being researched by CPU. He's got the +1 armor up against the +1 infantry attack of HerMarine. So HerMarine, he's pretty level on upgrades. He's got the Viking production on its way already. Only 4 medevacs though, and that means that he could be running into some problems just if he overstims his infantry, especially with the splash damage of these Colossi. Because the Colossus, they're not going to fall that quickly when there aren't that many Vikings in the field. Double Drop still trying to find somewhere to make some progress, but it's the scan now coming down, seeing that a good concave can be achieved, and a quick poke in from Marine. We'll try and get some damage through, but only a handful of units taken out. Overall, this game has got very low resources lost on both sides, 800 and 750. Be interesting to see whether HerMarine attempts to go for the third, and indeed he does. Just takes that down now. Should be very useful as he goes into the later stage of these games. I'm not sure if this is intended as a triple drop. It seems yes it is. A lot of pressure going to be applied. 2 Stalkers and a handful of Zealots waiting patiently though, in case that drop does come through. Meanwhile, CPU should get the scout of it nicely. He's got an observer in place. Is he going to pull back his army? One lone Widow Mine dies to all of those thermal lances as it wanders up the ramp towards the natural. Playing things cautiously. In though comes all of the Stalkers. They're going to try and find some avenue to attack for now, but the drop, realizing that it's been discovered, backs on out. Third CC for HerMarine is about 2/3 done at the moment. We've also got him busily constructing up his armory, ready to continue on his upgrades to probably +2 infantry attack. But it's CPU who's getting a bit more aggressive. Gonna catch a couple of infantry units, get a nice kill there. But without his main army ready to assault into that third that he's yet to scout, can't really punish this movement from CPU. Until now, sees the assimilator come down, moves across, and CPU quite a long way out of position. This is going to cause him some problems, should force the cancel on that third nexus. The infantry not overcommitting to it though, it all bunches up over there, would be exposed if CPU moved down the ramp. Regardless though, cancel force and engagement coming at the natural ramp. A lot of damage being done, this infantry pushing forward. The Viking count up at 7. 6 as one gets taken down, but still, the Colossus reigns supreme. Take out a good chunk of infantry, but both players losing precisely the same amount there. Still just that 50 resource difference between the two players. Miraculously close. More Vikings being produced, the +2 infantry weapons and +1 air/ship attack upgrade comes through. That's going to bolster these Vikings attacks up against the Colossi, just helping them try and take them out a little bit quicker. Fast scan, just to check to see if there is any observer in place, and therefore able to see if this triple drop will have been detected. But note, CPU has kept the 2 Stalkers and 4 Zealots in the main base, just in case. The medevacs though sneaking around the back, are they going to be able to get away? No, because an observer can see it. A little hit squad of Marauders going to be trying to take down that third nexus, going to be trying to force another cancel, but not able to do so as the army gets pulled into position in order to defend it. Meanwhile, the triple medevac drop backs away, reloads, heals up the units a little, and is going to go in yet again towards that main. CPU, meanwhile, he's nearly maxed out, so he's moving across the map with an almighty army, but being forced back due to this triple drop now coming down successfully in the main base. Quite a lot of damage being done, pylons being picked up, and this isn't the biggest problem because obviously CPU is nearly maxed out, but losing these probes is going to be a tad annoying for him. The medevacs, the infantry, fighting nicely, trying to back away, and this has drawn all of CPU's army away, opening up his third base to be attacked and assaulted by the bulk of HerMarine's army. He catches a decent amount of gateway units out of position, there's no Colossus supporting them, and the third nexus will yet again fall. No cancel available as it was done, and a great pickoff by HerMarine there. CPU is just being pulled around, he's being drawn back into his main to defend those very sizable drops, but also needs to get that third base up. He's taken a bit more losses now, actually losing about 1100 more resources than HerMarine now. And that is quite a discrepancy. He's got to be careful with how this goes. Meanwhile, HerMarine, he's got his third base up, mining a lot of minerals, but also pumping out a lot of units. 10 Vikings up against 5 Colossus. And CPU, he knows he's got a counter-attack. Without that third, he needs to deal some damage of his own. Moving in towards the third base of HerMarine, these Stalkers should be able to take out that orbital if it's not focused, and do manage to take it down, but an attack from all angles. The SCV's coming from behind just to soak up some of the damage. The Vikings getting some good shots off on those Colossi, but the infantry also being picked apart. Only a single Colossus remains, that's dispatched quickly, but it's the Stalkers on the ground. There isn't enough infantry here yet, so the Vikings forcing to land. With a high Marauder count and reinforcements trickling in, CPU is frantically trying to take this trade, and he's going to be able to win it for the moment. Got to be careful as he pushes back though, the next volley of reinforcements will be coming in shortly. With Blink, a lot of confidence being displayed here by CPU. He took out the orbital command, both players now just on those 2 bases. Who is going to be able to take this trade? Quick scan takes a look at everything here, but with the observer, a blink up into the main is a possibility. Does CPU want to chance it? Seems no, he does not. Back at home, CPU now starts up his third nexus for the 3rd time. Hopefully he's going to get a bit more luck with this game, or this time, but don't forget, HerMarine, he's taken substantial losses now as well, actually losing 1,000 more resources than CPU. Pulling the SCVs, going to be going for a lot of aggression, doesn't feel like he can transition. He's pretty much mined out his main and his natural getting very low. He knows that he needs to try and end this game now. He's down in supply though, so the SCV pull is going to be essential. Is it going to be enough? With only a single Colossus, it may very well be. One Colossus, got to do a lot of work here. With only a single Viking, it's going to stay up for quite a while. The SCVs have to tank up some damage at the front. They've got to make sure that they take the brunt of the beating. The infantry kiting back and forth, probes getting taken down. Army supplies neck and neck. This engagement could go either way. The third Nexus has to die. That is the one thing that HerMarine knows that he needs to be able to pick up at very least. But he can't commit in due to the geography of this map. It would get him in a bad position. CPU taking a bit more damage now though. Force fields coming through. The SCVs trying to tank up at the front. They have all been killed. The Colossus dealing a lot of damage. Both players taking significant losses, but it's the Colossus in the back dishing out so much splash. It's gonna be enough. CPU levels out this series to take it to 1-1 and we get the ace game.